Behind the Dish is sponsored by DBAT. Check out dbat.net for baseball and softball products, franchise information, and to find a location near you. And now your host, John Piper.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dish. I'm John Piper. We're so pleased to be joined by a 28-year veteran of the coaching arena. Head coach Mitch Thompson from McLennan Community College joins us. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, John. Glad to be here.
Well, it's so phenomenal. I know we're wrapping up as we record this on June 22nd, 2018. The amateur game is winding down. There's 4 teams left in the College World Series. You wrapped up your season a couple weeks ago, and we want to talk a little bit about the off-season, the college game, the high school game, all the recruiting that you do. You're known as one of the best recruiters in the country. With that, Coach, I know your season never slows down. What have you been spending your time doing the last couple weeks? Probably on the recruiting trail, I assume.
Well, we're always anxious to go out and see even the players that we have signed and continue to stay in touch with them and keep developing that relationship and do those things. But yeah, we've been out on the road pretty hard ever since we finished up and seeing either the high school playoff games or now the summer select league circuit stuff. And so, recruiting never ends at the college level, and that's the lifeblood of the game. So if you want to win, you better go get players.
Coach, how many days a week are you on the road? Do you have many overnight stays? I know you're based in Central Texas. There's a lot of talent between Central Texas, Houston, North Texas. Talk to us a little bit about your travels during the recruiting season.
Well, during the summertime, we have a lot of day trips. I mean, we'll jump in the car, we'll drive up to Dallas, chase it around 3 or 4 games, different places, come back home, may go to Austin the next day or Houston or San Antonio, wherever. I mean, we're running around a lot. We will spend the night a few times during the summertime here in the state. But for most times it's day trips for us. And that's just because of our, to try and maximize our budget and not, so it makes it a little more difficult. We'll jump in the car and we'll go as a staff to Atlanta here in another week or so and spend 4 or 5 days running around Atlanta, chasing around all of the stuff going on there.
Probably headed to the Perfect Game facilities.
Right.
Probably one of your venues.
Yeah, that's exactly where we're going to the big 17U national tournament, and we spread out. We take three coaches. We'll get a couple of rental cars when we're there, and we'll run around for 4 days and see as much as we can see, make as many relationships, develop as many relationships as we can. It's always been a really, really valuable time for us. But yeah, the summertime is very busy. I think people sometimes think that college coaches, have a really neat summer break. But we don't usually get summer breaks.
Yeah, you're not like a high school coach. Yeah.
And here at the junior college level, it's maybe even crazier from the standpoint that we lose half of our team every year.
Yeah.
And so, when you keep flipping your team half every year to be a consistent winner is a challenge, and you've just got to continue to go out and recruit, 18 to 20 players a year, as opposed to being at the Division I level where sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes. I mean, there's some schools that do that. But those are the
Coach,
ones that everybody knows in the world are over-recruiting everybody. So,
I wanted to talk to you about that. You spent most of your career, the 28 years at Division I, having a player for, typically 3 years at least, a lot of them 4. And now that transition from having a player for just a lot of them just 1 year, maybe 2. What's that been like as you've transitioned to the JUCO route?
Well, probably, I did. I spent 23 years at Division I at Mississippi State, Auburn, and Baylor, and had great experiences there. And now I've spent 5 years here at the junior college. And, the decision to be here at McLennan has been a great place for us. We've been able to really turn this place into a national power that has aspirations, a team that has aspirations of winning national championships. But, my decision to be here was a family decision. It was just the right thing for my family and my girls at the time. I didn't want to pick them up and move them across the country to my next job when they were, you know, in junior high and high school and hooked up with their church and youth group and those type of things. So, but the junior college thing is it is a challenge just because you flip half your team, and so you've really got to stay on it. You've got to continue to develop relationships, and thankfully, you know, we've been fortunate enough here that we've developed a real tradition of developing players. I mean, we've had 13 guys drafted or signed by Major League Baseball. We're over 52 Division I players in the last 5 years leaving our program. And so, yeah, it's a challenge. You just got to keep going out and identifying players, and then once you get them here, help develop them and get them to the next place.
Yeah, I want to talk. You talk about that decision about your faith and your family. You know, a lot of our listeners, they're coaches, parents. We know that coaching route is not an easy route. You know, a lot of 2- and 3-year stops. A lot of successful college coaches start off at the high school level and move to small college. I want to applaud you. In 2015, you were honored with the Waco Tribune Sportsman of the Year, and part of that was due to your decision to stay local and not chase another Division I job, but you made a decision for your family, and it looks like it's all worked out, Coach.
Well, it definitely has worked out. I mean, God's been in control of the whole thing, and I was blessed that. When my situation at Baylor changed and I was forced to make a decision, am I going to move the family or what? And I was fortunate enough to get a job with the Kansas City Royals for a year and was a scout with them, covering all of South Texas. Had a really good year with the Royals. Drafted first-round draft pick that year, and Kansas City spent $3 million signing my players, so that was a fun year doing that.
Yeah, that's
fantastic. Then the job at McLennan opened up, and it gave me the opportunity to get back on the field. And to be in control of my own schedule, as opposed to, when you're scouting for a big league ball club, if they want you to go somewhere for 2 weeks, you go. And it just was a deal where my daughters were in high school and I knew that they were getting ready to leave, and I figured out that I can't get the time back. Once my girls are gone, I can't get the time back.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, a great point for all of us.
Yeah, and so I just this opportunity came up here. I can coach. I can do what I want to do. We can build a really successful program, but at the same time, I can be a part of my girls' lives. And so we've been blessed. My oldest daughter now is a senior at Baylor, and my youngest daughter just graduated high school from Midway High School, and so she is now going to be a freshman at Baylor. My wife works at Baylor, so that's worked out great. But we'll see what God has in store for us.
It's amazing how sports, especially baseball, there's so much life lesson that we can all take from it, Coach.
Well, there's no doubt, and I mean, and the game of baseball is really good for teaching those life lessons. But you come to a realization at some point in time in your career where you go, what I'm doing is not who I am. Who I am is I'm Amber's husband. I'm Mary Connolly and Caroline's dad, and at the end of the day, I better take care of my family. And so whatever's going to be the best for all of us is going to be the best for me also. And so I think when you make decisions like that, God honors you, and takes care of you and helps to direct your paths. And so we'll just keep trying to do those things. I'm far from perfect, but it's been a good ride so far.
Well, what I want to do next, a lot of the audience based here in Texas has seen this, they've heard of it, but our international audience, our national audience does not know what happened. It was you had a chance to go to the Junior College World Series, a game against Cisco Junior College. I'm going to bring up some audio from that game, and then I'd like to get your comments.
Okay.
The pitch from Heffron. Swung on as a base hit to left. Runner being waved. Will we have a play? Ball is fired in from the outfield, but just linked.
Just a normal play at the plate. Runner called out.
And now they're pushing and shoving at home plate. Thornquist is irate, and now the bench is clear. Teams are pushing and shoving. They get them separated. It'll be an RBI single by Smith that brings in Hollis. There wasn't much in the way of a collision at home plate. It was just a quick play, and I think that perhaps Thornquist thought
this game was right here in Grand Prairie, Texas.
There was a big first slide coming in that he didn't
Stadium.
appreciate. And now Coach Thompson and Coach White are standing at home plate. The officials are going to convene.
Coach, that's, like you said, time we can never get it back. This created a Twitter firestorm. The umpires made a decision, a hard and fast rule that most umpires would not make. Since the bench is cleared, there's a rule that says if a player leaves the bench, they're ejected, disqualified, and that left not enough players to play the game, and they disqualified both teams.
Yeah, it was a really unfortunate situation. It was a highly competitive game between two really outstanding clubs. I'll be honest with you, either ourselves or Cisco, whoever wins that game and gets a chance to go to the World Series, whichever one of those teams goes has an opportunity to win the national championship, and it's got a team that's capable of doing it. And so when both teams were disqualified, it was obviously disappointing. It was just a very highly competitive game, and emotions flared up. We had a close play at the plate. Our catcher thought he might have had the plate blocked with his foot. Didn't know if the umpires saw him tag him or not. So he went back to retag, got up, looked at the next play. The Cisco player got up and said something to our guy, called him something, and our guy responded and chest bumped
natural
him.
reaction.
And sure enough, there was a lot of emotion. It was a highly competitive game. Our guy chest bumped him, and all of a sudden, here come both benches. Now, the NCAA rule book is the rule book that governs junior college baseball. We go by the NCAA rule book, and in the NCAA rule book, to be ejected, you have to participate in a fight. It's not just if you come out and break one up, or you have to participate. But the NJCAA bylaw does state that if you leave the bench area or the warm-up area, it's an automatic violent ejection.
That's unfortunate.
The entire thing took less than 15 seconds, and was separated, and both teams went back to their dugouts. We were ready to continue on playing. It was unfortunate that we did come out, but both coaching staffs, Coach White and his staff, my staff, were on the field quickly, and broke it up. And it's just an unfortunate deal. This is not a baseball rule. The NJCAA, basically, this is probably a basketball rule that's been taken over to all athletic events by the NJCAA, and rather than having the ability to use common sense and actually see what happened and make a quick decision, it's just sometimes easier to just put the whole thing away and not be able to do that.
Yeah, I applaud both teams. They really resemble great sportsmanship. There was no punches thrown. Matter of fact,
right.
After that was over, a Cisco player and one of your players were hugging at second base.
That's exactly right. So it wasn't like it was a full out brawl. I don't know how it was described to the NJCAA. I don't believe that it was the umpire's decision to bang the contest. I believe it was the tournament director's decision, who communicated it with the NJCAA office. And like I said, even to this day, I've still had no face-to-face contact with any official explaining what happened to me and what happened to our team. And that's the shame of the thing. The shame of the thing is that the kids have worked all year for the moment. We're talking about a team at Cisco that's won over 50 games. Our team was 44-14. Really outstanding team, outstanding players, and we've got kids who have bought into something bigger than themselves. They're competing, and gosh, in our country, we need young men to compete. We need young men to buy into something bigger than themselves. We need young men to understand the value of being on a team and working together, and both these teams were doing exactly that. So it's just a shame, the whole thing, but we'll learn from it, and we're going to try and see if we we can get some rules changed by the NCAA so that this never happens to somebody else.
A lot of talent on that team, and like you mentioned, you could have the